Just let me know when you want.
Do you know about that, right?
Well, right when it
He's
comes
doing
up.
that one, but I'm doing the rest of them?
Yeah, because we're gonna remove.
I don't know anything about the rest of them. I know about that one, that was done.
I don't have an objection. I'm sorry if that sounded irate. I just want to make sure I understand correctly.
Yes,
I
because,
have- I- I'm
because
doing
we're
that
gonna
one
remove the
because
first
they-
one with a prayer.
Okay.
This was a continued public hearing, Tom?
Yeah.
And because we're
And I'm just,
gonna,
we're deleting it, so.
yes, because we're gonna read a letter, so. That's
That
loud.
makes sense.
Tom will gain a good
Someone
appreciation
already
of my
wanna talk.
work.
1 minute. I'm gonna start recording, just, let me see how is this recording, I think it's here, record meeting.
Is that a city computer?
No, it's mine.
Start recording,
I think, yeah, it is.
start.
And then when you're done, you have to stop it.
See, I'm losing my, all right, 6 p.m. All right. Good evening. Welcome to Easthampton City Council meeting from Wednesday, May 18th. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by Easthampton Media on Charter, Channel 193, and live streaming on their YouTube channel. All councils and participants in this meeting are gathering hybrid on the executive order by Governor Baker extended to July 15, which allowed us to do so. I remind both the member of the City Council and the public to remain mute until recognized by the President. Also, for the members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in public speak time or the public hearing. Thank you. This meeting is now called to order. Barbara.
Connie Denham. Here. Salem Derby.
Present.
Omar Gomez.
Here.
JP Kaczynski.
Hi here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Lindsay Rothschild. Here. Owen Zaret.
Present.
Please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge
Pledge of
allegiance to the
to the
flag
flag.
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, JP. I will take a motion to approve the minutes from May 4th, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from May 4th, 2022. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Abstain.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Public speak time. Is anyone here or through hybrid, they want to say something to the council that is not part of the agenda? Now is the time to talk. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record, and you can go to the podium.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. My name is Donna Wilson, and I live at 14 Mayher Street here in Easthampton. So I would like to speak in favor of the City Council adopting a resolution endorsing the Fair Share Amendment. It is clear that we need to make serious long-term investments in our public schools, roads, public colleges, and transportation infrastructure throughout the state, and it is clear that we have needs right here in Easthampton. We can look to our long-awaited new school buildings and scheduled Union Street road improvements as examples. Struggling working and middle-class families are currently paying the same flat tax rate as multi-million-dollar earners. The Fair Share Amendment would make sure the wealthiest 1% of Massachusetts households pay their fair share through a modest 4% tax increase on their portion of income exceeding $1 million. It is expected that an additional $2 billion in revenue will be raised every year to be spent on quality public education and affordable public colleges and universities, and for the repair and maintenance of roads, bridges, and public transportation in our communities. The wealthiest residents of Massachusetts can afford to pay a little more to make the big investments we've been putting off, investments that will be beneficial to themselves as well. I hope you will endorse the Fair Share Amendment to grow our economy and make it work for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from here? No. Joanne?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Joan Kurtz. I live at 359 Main Street here in Easthampton, and I'm the president of the Friends of the Easthampton Dog Park. I just want to remind the council of our fundraiser this Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon in Union Plaza along the Manhan Trail. We would love if you could stop by and talk to our supporters and see how energized we are about establishing a dog park here in Easthampton. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. I hope to see some of you then. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
Good evening, members of the City Council. I'm Nancy Stenberg. I live at 17 Main Avenue, and I am a public school librarian. I'm here to speak in favor of the resolution you're considering tonight for the Fair Share Amendment. Right now, the Massachusetts economy works great for those at the top, but that prosperity doesn't reach everyone. This is especially true now during the COVID pandemic. The rich keep getting richer while working families are bearing the brunt. Specific to education, our schools need major investments, and additional state revenue is necessary to invest in our public schools and give all students the education they deserve. Again, the pandemic has just brought many, many unseen costs to our school systems, and we need to really try and find additional ways to get smaller classes, social emotional support, extra tutoring, additional counselors, nurses and social workers, and librarians to get them back on track. Public higher education, we have the highest fees in the country. It's ridiculous. Student debt is out of control. So this Fair Share Amendment would help with that too. The average UMass Dartmouth student who takes out a loan will graduate with over $34,000 in debt, and that's, yes, a public college. The debt is holding back our entire economy. It's time for the wealthy to pay their fair share, and this amendment will only raise taxes on the wealthiest of Massachusetts households, those who have more than $1 million of taxable income in a single year. Anybody in the room? I didn't think so. So anyways, please do consider passing the Fair Share Amendment resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Marion?
Hi, good evening. My name is Marion Goldstein. I live at 16 John Street in Easthampton, and I am here tonight as the Finance Chair Committee for the School Department, and was just calling attention to the mayor's budget that she's going to be presenting tonight, and hoping that she calls forward and the City Council moves on to support the full school budget that we proposed, that we passed unanimously. That is $18,450,907. That is a important increase in our funding due to a number of fixed cost increases as we move into our new school. We're very excited about the new school. There's a lot of great opportunity there to do a lot of great things with our services, but we do need this increase. And so we're looking forward to the mayor putting that forward and the City Council supporting that budget. Thank you very much. Look forward to the Finance Subcommittee meeting on June 2nd, if that's still the date to be chosen. Thank you.
Thank you, Marion. Sarah?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Woodard. I live at 24 Sheldon Avenue in Easthampton. I am also a school teacher and speaking on behalf of the Fair Share Amendment, hoping that you will vote for it and pass it. The Massachusetts economy works well for those at the top, but the prosperity does not reach everyone. This is especially true now during the COVID pandemic. The rich keep getting richer while working families are the ones bearing the brunt. Public schools throughout the state are under the weight of ongoing pandemic. We need smaller classes, social emotional support, counselors, nurses, as well as this amendment helping us with our bridges and our infrastructure, equality around public transportation, higher education, pre-K and K, And just, it's a great amendment all around. So I'm hoping that you all will vote in favor of it tonight. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Sarah. Anyone else?
Yes,
Who's yes? Paul?
please. Yes, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. My name is Paul Fenn. I live in Haydenville at 91 Mountain Street. And I'm here today really representing my company, Local Power, which is involved with communities in the area with trying to decarbonize their energy through something called community choice aggregation. And there's a lot of that going on around here, municipal energy program. I'm here to speak to you about something related, though, that we've come into be involved in, which is really in some ways a more urgent concern concerning the treatment of exported municipal solid waste and wastewater sewage from communities in Massachusetts. And so we work with municipalities to decarbonize energy and look at really the broadly across the causes of carbon, which are electricity, gas, transportation, solid waste, basically, for the addressable carbon for communities that they can actually do something about to reduce. And so solid waste is the third largest cause of emissions from communities today. And developing these policies to reduce carbon emissions, we've begun to focus on extreme health risk posed primarily to lowest income communities, whether in Massachusetts or in New York or in Maine, New Hampshire, by how municipalities are managing their waste stream, specifically exporting waste from transfer stations to landfill, which ends up in host communities' water tables or is incinerated to energy, which spews pollutants into the air and on land. So we have this toxic brew of dioxins, mercury, lead, cadmium, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, hydrochloric acid, and PFAS now are the new crisis, the so-called forever chemicals, which are coming up in landfills and in sewage applications on farms all over New England. It really is a crisis. At the same time that many of the landfills in the state, in Western Mass, all the landfills have closed. And so all the trash now from all the towns, from whether Easthampton or Williamsburg, all the towns around are basically putting their trash on trains to go to New York, to go up into northern New York and the Canadian border, to go out to Ohio, all to low-income communities where it's going to be burned or landfilled. So we see a real crisis here because PFAs present this new toxicity in our waste, that we think that the communities, including Haydenville, Williamsburg, but also we're going to communities all over this region to see if there's an interest during this transition time to look at pyrolysis technologies to more responsibly convert the non-recyclable waste that's going to landfills today to hydrogen. And so I just wanted I'm speaking too long, but to introduce myself and to see if there's a way to engage the community in a meaningful discussion about considering pyrolysis to hydrogen as an alternative solution to exporting for landfills and incineration. So just want to introduce myself, Paul Fenn from Local Power, and I hope we can have an opportunity sometime to get into discussions about this, and would love to hear ideas about whom I should talk to or what would be constructive to talk to decision makers in Easthampton about this problem.
Thank you, Paul. Megan?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Megan Harvey. I live at 21 Button Road in Easthampton. I have 3 small children who are in or almost in the Easthampton Public School District, and I'm a member of the school committee and on the school committee finance subcommittee. And I'm wanted to come here tonight and just speak in support of the budget that was passed by the school committee that allows for level services in our schools. It is a large percentage increase as passed by the school committee, but given the history in the past couple of years, this actually averages to less than a 2% per year increase, and just goes to highlight the need for this particular increase this year. And I just wanted to, again, reiterate that every cent in the budget was carefully reviewed and is absolutely necessary to provide level services and the education that our children need in this district. And I will be watching and understand the mayor is presenting a budget tonight. I hope that that matches the budget put forward and passed by the school committee. And if not, I hope that the finance committee and city council will do everything in their power to see that the schools get the funding they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Julie?
Hi, my name is Julie and I live in Precinct 1 in Easthampton. And I just wanted to speak of my support to fully fund the Easthampton Police Department. We ended 2021 with 693 mass shootings. And as of May 15th of this year, there have already been 198 mass shootings, averaging out to about 10 attacks a week, which is an epidemic proportion. And as well we are aware, violence and crime are on the rise in communities, as well as towards our police officers. We in Easthampton, thankfully, have not had to experience what many others have had to endure, but we in Easthampton are not immune from these horrific attacks and are fortunate to have an exceptional, well-trained and equipped police department. I believe it's imperative to ensure we continue to fully fund Easthampton Police Department. Any divesting of funds would leave our residents, visitors, and businesses vulnerable to preventing and responding to such crimes and would diminish public safety and quality of life overall. On March 2nd, Chief Alberti provided a 2021 Easthampton Police Department annual report. This 46-page report was not only thoroughly comprehensive and transparent, but most importantly demonstrates their commitment to our community as stated in their mission statement. This report provided the clear need to continue to fully fund our police department. It would be detrimental to our safety and quality of life if this funding was cut. As a resident and homeowner of Easthampton for the last 23 years, I am proud of the men and women of Easthampton Police Department and the dedicated service they provided to all of our all-inclusive community. With the utmost highest integrity, the values of our community, and without bias as demonstrated by them, the annual report, and as well as the findings from the mayor's pledge report. And I just wanted to leave you one last thing, that on May 13th, President Biden took the opportunity in his Friday afternoon address concerns about crime and the pushback on demands from progressive Democrats who wanted to shrink police departments nationwide. As he said, we've all agreed as, excuse me, I'm sorry, I lost my voice. The answer to this was to fund the police with the resources and training they need to protect our communities. Investing in crime prevention and accountable community police officers who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Crime is on an increase, and we need to make sure that we in Easthampton and our surrounding communities, because we offer help to them, is staffed and is funded fully. Thank you.
Thank you, Yuli. That will conclude with the public speak time. I will take a motion to open public hearings.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to open public hearing. Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. He said aye.
That was an aye.
He said it? Okay. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. We have, first is the Interdepartmental Transfer. Councilor Peak.
Thank you, Mr. President. So yes, the first one is $1,500 for city council advertising. We've had a good deal of ordinances and the city's had a good deal of supplemental appropriations over the last few months, and those have to be advertised, and it's expensive. The city's asking for funds to cover that. Barb, is there anything else that you want to say to this one?
Really.
Something?
You know, every supplemental appropriation, every ordinance, like the ad last week was like $465. It's expensive. So, not much more to say.
Any councilor have any question? No? Anyone from the public have any question or comment about this appropriation? Seeing none, Councilor Peak?
All right, I've never actually done one of these before, so let's see. So request is hereby made, we start with that part? Yeah, okay. Request is hereby made for the approval of the following appropriation. The amount requested, $1,500 to be transferred from Reserve Fund, $1,500 to be transferred to City Council Advertising, $1,500. The amount requested will be used for the following purposes: to provide additional funding for City Council legal advertising for the rest of the fiscal year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for interdepartmental transfer of $1,500 for City Council legal advertising for remainder of fiscal year 2022. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
The
I'm sorry,
next one is
Councilor.
Councilor Rist.
I would like to turn the floor over to Councilor Derby, who will read a letter from Planner Bag regarding the Ward Avenue funding.
Okay, so this is a memo sent from our city planner, Jeff Bagg, regarding requesting to withdraw the CPA funding for the land acquisition on Ward Ave. Dear Council President Gomez, at your April 6, 2022 meeting, you voted to continue the public hearing for a CPA request for $137,500 from funds to acquire a portion of property at 17 Ward Ave. The land will provide a connection from the Manhattan Rail Trail to an upgraded sidewalk system on Park Street to the new Mountain View School. At this time, I'm respectfully requesting the City Council vote to withdraw the request without prejudice. The city will likely require some funds in the future to either acquire this land or an easement. However, given the longer timeline for the project, along with other considerations, including the valuation, a vote for these funds is premature. We expect to have more information within the next 12 months as Mass DOT develops a 25% design plan for the entire project, which was awarded a $1.5 to $1.8 million grant from the Safe Routes to School grant for the construction back in January 2022. Construction for the new sidewalk and bike path connection is not anticipated to start until 2025.
So make a motion.
Not yet, because it's still part of the public hearing. Let me see if anyone have any comment or question about this particular appropriation, but we're gonna remove it without prejudice. Anyone have a comment or question about this one? Seeing none, Councilor Rist?
Before I begin, I would just like to say, just so that everybody who hears this in no way removes the idea of that connection on Ward Avenue for the bike trail to Ward Avenue. The CPA committee and the planning department and the city wants this to happen. The timing is the issue with regard to the Safe Roads project, so it will happen in the future. I want to make everybody understand that removing it from the agenda does not kill this project. I make a motion that $137,500 of CPA funds for 17 Ward Avenue be removed from the City Council public hearing and the Finance Committee's agenda.
Second.
Without prejudice, excuse me.
We have a motion and a second to remove without prejudice the $130,000 with $500 for the CPA fund for 17 Ward Avenue. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye. Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
Thank you, Mr. President. The next item up is $156,130 from CPA Funds for housing sustainability and financial literacy programs. Jamie, do you want to speak on this?
If there's questions, do you want to?
Yeah, just give us a quick overview. I think I get it, but you'll explain it better.
So this was a.
For the record, can you please state your
Yep,
name?
sorry about that. I'm Jamie Webb. I'm the assistant planner for the city and the CPA administrator. The request is from Valley Community Development Corporation to run an 18-month housing sustainability and financial literacy program that would provide low and moderate income households, both renters and homeowners, with housing counseling services, as well as would provide up to $25,000 first-time homebuyer down payment assistance grants. Believe that Alexis Breitnecker, the executive director of Valley CDC, is here. I don't know if she has anything that you want to say, or I can also be, if not, I can also answer questions. That's the very brief overview of the program.
Hi, Jamie, I'm here, as is Donna Cabana, our homeownership coordinator. Thank you, City Council, for being willing to hear our request. So this request has been fully vetted by the Housing Partnership as well as CPA, and they both support this request. As folks know, the challenge with affordability has only increased during the pandemic, and this is a vetted program that we use to both support people to become first-time home buyers, and then once they are in that process and have identified a house, be able to provide them with a mortgage subsidy. I'm going to turn it over to Donna Cabana, who's our homeownership, if she has anything else to say.
Thank you to the City Council. It's really important to support people with financial services at this time. Due to the current housing market, rents are increasing, interest rates are increasing, and it's the financial literacy piece of this and helping folks to get their finances in order and to plan and save for emergencies and emergency repairs and, the home purchase and rental increases. It's pretty important right now. I'm talking to a lot of folks that are struggling that, could really utilize these services. And it is an 18-month program. We wish we could do this program continually in the town because, we need to prepare folks for these rental increases and prepare them towards home ownership. So I can't say enough for this program. And the cost that households are facing right now makes it extremely difficult for them to save towards down payment and closing costs. So the mortgage subsidy piece could help to, keep families in Easthampton that have been here for years and have kids in the school system and folks that work locally and work in town. It's an important program. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Any councilor have any questions? Councilor Rist?
I just want to say that I was there for the CPA meeting. The CPA committee enthusiastically supported this program. Anytime we can help to make housing more affordable for moderate and low-income households and make it easier for them to understand financing housing, it is one of the primary tenets of the CPA legislation. So I urge the council to vote in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Councilor Sarat?
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. President. I'm happy to see the CPA using money for housing affordability. While I certainly don't have any issues with other CPA expenditures, I think it's great to see us fulfilling elements of the housing production plan on both of our two recent plans that set aside suggestions for making housing more affordable in the manner that is outlined in this CPA funding. This not only allows people to be able to afford a house, it also empowers them with the appropriate education and financial understanding of what it means and what it is required to own a house. Especially in the current market, we're seeing prices in Easthampton astronomically climbing and people coming in with huge offers over asking price with cash. I think this levels the playing field and also helps maintain a more appropriate socioeconomic diversity and affordability within the city. So I think this is great.
Thank you. Any other councilors? I just have one question is to get this, the people have to take a class, right? The first time home buyer class?
The education is a requirement of receiving the subsidy, yes.
Okay, and how many people are taking that education?
We're seeing about 50 households per month attending the class from the area.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
pretty well attended.
Thanks. anyone from the public have any comment or question? Seeing none, Councilor Rothschild?
I just want to make a comment as someone who works in the real estate field. This is great. And unfortunately, it does not even the playing field. It would take a lot more to even the playing field because, as we know, offers are coming in. I just want it to be more. I'm not critiquing the program. I just wish there was ways to incentivize homeowners to take offers that are subsidized by down payments such as this. We know in this market that owners are taking cash offers far above and beyond asking price, so people who are financed can't even compete because the appraisals won't even come in. So I don't know what we're going to do about it. I'm just saying that I just don't want anyone to think this evens the playing field, because it absolutely does not. It is a help, and I appreciate it and I support it, but I want to think about how we can do more. That's all.
Thank you. Any other councilor? Councilor Kuczynski?
Mr. President, I just wanted to follow up on Councilor Rothschild's comments. He is absolutely correct. This does not level the playing field. It is a help. And I think the main help is to make sure that those who are getting financial help have the capacity to understand the expenses they'll be facing and how best to structure what they do and to save in the process. And that's a tremendous boon and will help people not only to obtain the financial assistance, but be able to stay in a home and hopefully not lose the home through any process that can happen. They'll be better prepared for being a successful person with a mortgage. So I would wholeheartedly endorse.
Thank you. Councilor Peak?
All right. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $156,130 to be appropriated from CPA reserved for affordable housing, $107,115. CPA undesignated fund, $49,015 to be appropriated to Valley CDC Housing Stability and Financial Literacy, $156,130. The amount, or do I need to say the last part? Yeah. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: to provide low to moderate income households with financial literacy education, housing counseling services, and 3 down payment assistance grants.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for this supplemental appropriation of $156,130. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild?
Aye.
Owen Zaret?
Yes.
Connie Denham?
Aye.
Salem Derby?
Aye.
Omar Gomez? JP Kaczynski?
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
So the next item up is $27,467.23 for to cover FY22 IT department payroll. Basically, there was some shifts over the course of the year in terms of the staffing in the IT department and salaries in the IT department. And obviously, just with everything going on over the last few years with COVID, just the general sense of where, like, what our IT needs are going to be it's sort of a moving target. So I think when they did the budget, they came fairly close, but just to cover the remainder of this fiscal year, they're going to need this additional $27,000.
Any councilor have any question or comment? Seeing none. Any from the public have anything to ask or make a comment about this appropriation? I think I see Nicole, right? Madam Mayor?
Thank you, President. So this, the transition and expansion of our IT department comes certainly, was expedited by COVID. In that transition, and one of the requests what you're seeing for salary is that we brought on a transition consultant to maintain our older systems until we were able to get a handle of what we might need, and also give Dr. Kamahort some space to figure out what to do first and get some grant money. So I'm grateful to actually all of the departments working and accepting a lot of new tech ideas in a very short period of time. And Dr. Kamahort is definitely the inspiration and the mover for that. So I appreciate consideration for a positive vote on this request.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else from the public? Seeing none, Councilor Peak.
Okay, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $27,467.23 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to computer salary full-time, $14,413.21. Computer salaries, $13,054.02. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose: cover FY22 IT department payroll.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $20,467.23 for the fiscal year 2022 IT department payroll. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. And Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
passes. Councilor Peak.
The next item on our agenda is $89,864 for the purchase of one Tesla police cruiser, and then police conversion and equipment for two EV cruisers, and the installation of two police department electric vehicle charging stations. Chief,
Good evening, councilors.
Good evening.
Bob Alberti, your police chief. I also live in Precinct 1. I'd like to call up our conservation agent to speak to the grant.
Please do.
To start, if that's okay, Mr. President.
Yep.
Hi, my name is Cassie Traggart. I'm the conservation agent for the city, and I was the person who piloted applying for the grant through Green Communities to help support the acquisition of two Teslas. The grant was for $7,500 towards each vehicle, so it's a total of $1,500, but it has to be $7,500 towards each. The grant was pursued, like I said, through Green Communities, and the reasoning behind it is that as a green community, we need to keep pursuing avenues to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, including car gas. And so switching as many cars as we can to electric vehicles is a positive thing that we can do in that favor. This also kind of plays into the climate emergency resolution the council passed. And let's see what else. The grant was applied for in October 2021. And at the time when we were looking at it, the Tesla was something that other communities in the state had used Teslas on their police forces and had had success with it. I spoke with the Ipswich Police Department on the North Shore about it, and they really had great things to say about the Tesla that they got for their police force. And the Tesla also, and probably the chief can speak to this more than I can, but it meets the performance and safety standards that would be required to be used by the police force. I don't know if you guys have any questions. I can speak more to the grant than I can to the specifications of the vehicles.
Any councilor have any questions?
I do.
Councilor Rocha?
I just had a question about the grant. So it was for two. So did we already, are we getting another one?
So you might be able to explain. So there, this funding is just for part of it. Yeah, go ahead, Chief, maybe you can explain better to me.
Absolutely. So the appropriations for one of the Teslas, two charging stations, and to outfit, retrofit the Teslas, both of them. The mayor had requested that I purchase one from our federal drug forfeiture account. So that's why there's only one on the appropriation for the council.
Will the 7,500 still get to go to the federal drug forfeiture?
Yep, absolutely.
Councilor Rist?
Just some questions, and I apologize. I know you probably answered these at the Finance Committee meeting, but it's the first meeting I've missed in years. And I want to thank Councilor Peak for handling it at this time. A couple questions. This is a traffic cruiser. It says traffic, but won't they be used like all of your other cruisers, or are they specific to parking enforcement? I mean, I'm just curious, because they're not SUVs, and you've been getting hybrid SUVs.
Well, the Y is actually, the Tesla Y is an actual SUV.
Oh, it is? It doesn't look like it in the picture. So, my fault.
But yes, it'll be used primarily for traffic. We have a traffic officer now. That's his full-time job is traffic complaints, parking complaints. He's got a laundry list of streets in the city that people are requesting traffic on and enforcement.
So, however, it can be used, as all of your cruisers can be used in any kind of enforcement.
Absolutely.
Because, and I'm happy to hear it's an SUV for snow and all that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm reading your nice, what you provided from Westport, and they claim that although it costs more, that it does, the hypothesize that fuel expenses would more than make up the cost difference. And what I sincerely like about it is when you stop someone, it turns off. You're not, you have to keep your engines running normally, but you don't have to do that.
Correct.
With an electric vehicle.
That's
It
right.
starts, and I have one, I know how fast they start up, so it's great. So I wanted everybody to know that even though the word Tesla is here, because they're the only ones that make this, correct?
Yes.
We don't have a Ford or a Chevy that makes this kind of an all-electric cruiser.
Ford makes a Mustang, which is much smaller than the Tesla, and
Mustang SUV,
no, Mustang sedan.
Yeah, the Mach-E.
The Mac, yeah.
but it would not be usable in this case.
It's much smaller than the Tesla Y.
But I feel, again, that this is a great way. We've been always working hard to try and get environmentally friendly with these vehicles, and this is a good start with it, and we're getting a lot of federal help for it. So, great. I was concerned because the picture looked like it was a small sedan, so thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other Councilor? Councilor Sarat?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, to reiterate just in terms of the cost saving, and you can confirm if this is correct, Chief, I've seen, I mean, certainly it depends on the community, but I've seen approximately $4,000 a year, give or take, which over a couple of years makes up for the cost difference with the traditional combustion engine or hybrid vehicles. My question is just about range and charge with these, and do you anticipate that you'll be able to make it through a shift on a single charge, or do you have kind of a strategy? What would happen if you run low on charge, and what would happen to that officer and using the vehicle, and are there other vehicles available?
Yeah,
That just occurred to me.
There's plenty of cruisers available for that. But my research and my understanding and in conversing with the manufacturer is that the vehicle will run for 8 hours on one charge. Some of the other research that we did is on 1 hour of charge, the vehicle will go 36 miles per hour of charge, and 1.2 hours for an 80% charge. But we anticipate charging these vehicles overnight, typically on a night shift, because the traffic, of course, is mostly during the day and into some 3 to 11 shift.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Yeah. And these have regenerative braking, is that correct?
Yes,
too?
yeah.
Okay.
Good.
What is the price differential? Sorry.
Yes. Councilor Rothschild.
What is the price differential with your cruisers you typically buy?
$11,000.
Okay.
Anyone else? Because I do have a question. Who?
Another question, I already asked the question, Mr. President, if you want to ask.
Councilor
first.
Sarat. No, go ahead.
The other, I know that there's a concern in terms of sometimes our turnover, Chief Alberti, with vehicles, just because they're used hard and for pretty intense purposes, and we have to get new cruisers on a frequent basis. Is it correct that, my understanding is that these, because of fewer moving parts with the electric vehicles, these can actually be used for hundreds of thousands of miles? Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. And again, our research and speaking with the manufacturer, the battery life is 300 to 500,000 miles, which would equate to probably anywhere from 12 to 15 years. Our Fords now, they're out of powertrain after 100,000 miles, and we have 4 of them right now that are, or 3 of them, I'm sorry, that are out of powertrain. And the average life of those cruisers is 5 years, as opposed to 10, 12, 15.
I have a question about the grant per se. I know you said there was 15,000 to buy 2 Teslas.
Yeah.
But we look like we're using, for the package that we have, that we're using 15,000 to buy only 1 Tesla and the 2 chargers. So that's from the package that we have. Look like we are only buying that with one. We buy only 1 Tesla. Can we do that with the grant? We can use the 15,000 just to buy 1, or we gonna split it 7,000 and 7,000 for the other one?
It needs to be 7,500 towards each vehicle.
And it has to be Teslas.
It does not have to be.
Does it
well,
has to be
the
Teslas?
grant, sorry, when I applied for the grant, it didn't require that you request Teslas. That is what we put in our application.
Or we
And so
put Tesla in the application for the
Yep,
grant.
they wanted you to identify the vehicle that you wanted to get in the application process. I think it would be difficult to change now, at this
Okay.
stage, now that the application has been accepted, and that they are awarded us the funds under this understanding of these
Yep.
vehicles being the target. But yeah, 7,500 towards each vehicle.
And I know this answer, but for the public knowledge, what we're gonna do with the 2 vehicles that we're gonna replace? Because usually in our city, we use it, sometimes we transfer those vehicles for another department. We are not doing that, and the reasons are because what? Why?
Well, my understanding is they're going to be sold through MHQ, is that correct? Yeah, so I think the reasoning maybe is that there isn't a need.
Well, the grant mandate that we have to get rid of.
Oh, yeah, because we have to, sorry, we have to remove them from the fleet.
Yes.
So that they're, because again, the point of the grant is to reduce our fossil fuel usage.
Mhm.
And so now we're eliminating that usage by selling those vehicles.
Thank you. Any other councilor have any questions? Councilor Kosinski, because.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to congratulate everyone for locating a grant for the mayor suggesting that we use the drug forfeiture funds for the other vehicle. And I really am grateful that we're working in this direction. I remember when Councilor Derby had made his original proposal about having fuel-efficient fleet here in the city for all the departments, and this definitely is a big step in that direction. Chief, I did have one quick question, if I may, about the length of time that the lights can be flashing on these vehicles. I had always been under the impression that the light flashing was the reason we had to keep the vehicle turned on and gas being consumed. And I'm just absolutely thrilled to hear that that is not the case. How long can the vehicle's lights remain on? It's an important safety feature both for the officer, the person who's been stopped, and for anyone else traveling.
That's a great question, and again, my understanding is that the lights can remain on, certainly but for the length of a car stop and multiple car stops. If the car can run for 8 hours at 36 miles on an hour of charge, and the lights are all LED also, so they can run forever.
Super, thank you very much.
Councilor Sarek.
The previous speaker basically addressed what I wanted to say, that we do have a city ordinance, just for the public, that does require fuel-efficient vehicles, and certainly this is more fuel-efficient than a hybrid. So that's all I wanted to mention.
Madam Mayor? You're muted.
There we go. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this item. I've also noticed that Liz Jensen has had her hand. I didn't know if you can see everybody. I wanted to speak to the Teslas. One, it's important that we go after green community grants, and I'm grateful to Cassie for all the research she has done. Two, Tesla was the only option when we went for the grant that met the safety requirements to be a cruiser. The price of the actual car, the Tesla, is less expensive than the hybrid SUVs. What is more expensive, and Chief, I'll defer on your thoughts on this, is that the police package on a Tesla is very new compared to a Ford, and there is an additional expense there. So we're thinking that comes down. Also, there are a lot of other electric vehicles coming on the market in the next 5 years, and we have to think that some of them will be appropriate as a police, a fire, park and rec, different vehicles. We actually just test drove one, a smaller one. The last thing I'll say on this, if you look at our public hearing items, there are two that really go to why we need to start switching and not wait for the perfect electric car. When I look at the $40,000 to cover fuel costs for the remainder of FY22, as well as, I just missed it, the $49,800 to fund design services for the upgrade to the Liberty Street pump station. Our pump stations, we have, I think, 15 pump stations that's for wastewater. We could go down to 5. They're very expensive to decommission. The other balance of that is pump stations like Liberty Street only have to run 30 minutes a day. Sounds great for electricity, but because of the Department of Public Utilities regulations, that pump house needs to run 24/7, even though we need it just for 30 minutes. And the utility expense for each pump station is significant. And so to be cutting our fossil fuel and natural gas consumption, this is a great reason to start bringing in all electric vehicles. So thank you for the opportunity to speak, and thank you to Cassie and to Chief Hebert for the application of the drug forfeiture money so easily. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have another question. Is these 2 Teslas, they're gonna be marked with the police like we have, or they're not gonna have any signs of the police ones? And we're gonna install computers in those 2 Teslas like the other cruisers? And at this moment, it's gonna be part of that, or do you have money?
I have money for the laptops.
For the laptops?
Yeah.
And they're gonna be marked?
Yes, yeah.
Both, or just?
One, the traffic one for sure. The other one, we may put in admin or for the detective bureau. But definitely the traffic car. I'm sorry, what was the second question?
That was the computer, to install the computers.
Yeah. So what they're telling us is, and they're working with Westport, Connecticut right now, Tesla is, about integrating our computer system into
their system?
Their system, yeah, which I thought was really interesting. I have some additional commentary and some numbers, if it's okay. One of the reasons that we had discussed electric vehicles and hybrids years ago with Councilor Derby was the crash rating of those vehicles at the time. Our Fords could take a crash from the behind at 70 miles an hour, and this is the first electric vehicle that came with a 5-star crash rating. So it's paramount that the officers are safe. Period. So and we had these conversations, Councilor Derby and I, for probably years now, right, Councilor?
That's correct.
So just a couple additional numbers. the life of the Ford with maintenance and fuel costs is basically a little over 18 cents a mile, which equates to $19,635. The life of the Tesla maintenance fuel costs is just over 2 cents a mile, which is $3,000 essentially. The annual maintenance, what we've come, and really the annual maintenance is going to be tires, or biannual maintenance really, is the $250 as opposed to the amount of money that we're spending on the lube oil filters and cruiser usage. The EV emissions avoids 23 tons of CO2 a year and saves just over $8,700 in EV and health costs, and I covered the charging. So I just wanted to give you the additional numbers that I had.
Okay, anyone from the public have any comment? Can you please come to the podium, state your name and address, please?
Hi, my name's Donovan Lee. I'm a resident of Ward Avenue over here in Easthampton. I'm speaking today to speak against this proposal. Not only does the Easthampton Police Department not need another vehicle at this time, it's another incident in a pattern of the Easthampton Police Department acquiring funds and equipment with a lack of public input. The Easthampton Police Department has repeatedly applied for grants with no public process, then come to the City Council for money saying, we need this money or the grant money is going to go to waste. This is an attempt to strong-arm you, the City Council, into giving them money whenever and for whatever they want. An attempt to bolster their already large stockpile of weapons, vehicles, high-tech surveillance equipment, and other equipment with as little public oversight as possible. The Easthampton Police Department is trying to pass off this acquisition as being done for an ecological benefit. It would not be of ecological benefit to add an unnecessary vehicle to the Easthampton Police Department force. It would not be an ecological benefit to buy another car that we don't need. This money could be do so much more good for our community and our environment when spent on updating our infrastructure to make it more efficient and work better for our community. Watching these meetings, I've seen time and time again our schools, our DPW, our library come to you in need of money for things that keep our city running, and you say there's no money for them. You just can't spare any more for the student supports in our classroom, or nuts and bolts for our sewer department. But every time the Easthampton Police Department comes to you with their hands out, you give them money, no questions asked. Council members, we are watching. A vote tonight for this says that you would rather invest in our community members getting pulled over by an overpriced and unnecessary electric car than in community support, education for our community's children, well-maintained roads, ensuring we have clean and efficient water and sewer. The list goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Hi, I'm Shelby Lee. I'm a resident of Precinct 4. Similar sentiments. I think there's absolutely no way that appropriating this money, the $89,864 for the EPD to buy Tesla products right now, is a reflection of the desire of the majority of the community of Easthampton. The funds that you are using, whether they be from cannabis revenue, the city's free cash account, or grant funding, that money belongs to the people of this city. Regardless of what you may think as individuals, your role in this government is to make sure that the movements of the department and the mayor reflect the desires of the community as a whole. Over the past 3 or more city council meetings, I have heard teachers of the city asking you for funding for education staff. Over the past year, I have heard many city departments asking for funding for basic dire infrastructure needs, including the library and the water and sewer department. In 2017, the library conducted an open public survey in which the community expressed needs for a better library and more accessibility. The library planning board went through a lengthy process to come to funding barricades and is still working through funding barricades to try to meet the community expressed needs, including extended weekend hours due to salary limitations. You may say that we have to do this now because there is a portion of this that is grant funding that we will lose, and that may be true. But what are the terms of the grant funding? And it seems it's specific to Teslas. And since it's specific to Tesla, I want you to realize that that was a choice. That was a choice that was made unilaterally by the EPD without any open public process via a conservation agent. Even if it's not specific to Tesla products, the grant was applied for at this time without public process in a unilateral decision of the EPD via connected planning boards. I've been following this through other subcommittee meetings. Anytime this grant and the purchasing of the Tesla products was discussed, it was discussed by the chief as being a done deal. It was never a question. The public was never asked, would you like the police to purchase new vehicles right now, even though the EPD purchased 7 new vehicles, 3 of which are new hybrid vehicles between 2019 and today, spending thousands of dollars of city revenue. The public was also never asked if they wanted these vehicles to be Tesla products. When looking into the grant, the Green Communities Grant, a statewide grant program, there is no specific requirement for these funds to be designated for police vehicles or Tesla products. Even if we will lose grant money voting this down, we must do that. We cannot allow the EPD to continue to operate in this manner and supersede the council and open public process. They work for us, and you work for us. They're funded by us and for us. People of this city elected you to uphold this check system on our resources. The EPD has a repeated pattern of superseding this council and open public process to acquire funds. For example, they also recently applied for grant funding for more tasers, according to Chief Alberti during city meetings, without a public process. More tasers, even though they already possessed about 3 times more than the number of officers on duty at any given time. The public was never asked if they wanted the police to have more tasers on top of the stockpile of weapons they already have. I've also heard members of this council use public time to speak about the war in Ukraine, and I find it hard to believe that you can look at that conflict, fueled by oligarchs, make reference to it regularly, and then consider spending our city's money on the empire of Elon Musk, the beneficiary of South African apartheid, profiteering, and emerald mining wealth. Elon Musk, who's repeatedly faced workers' rights violations charges since 2010. Elon Musk, who has fired pro-union workers and was disciplined by the National Labor Regulation Board for violating workers' rights to unionize. A current California lawsuit alleges that black workers at Tesla were subject to a racist work environment. Is that a reflection of the values of this city? I can tell you it's not a reflection of the desires of this community. However, it's starting to look like an accurate reflection of our government and our police department. According to the records supplied by the EPD, our city's police department conducts traffic stops and uses force against Black and Latinx residents at a disproportionately high rate, and Chief Alberti, to use his own words, was not surprised by this. We also know what the mayor has said, and we all have heard her non-apology, shifting blame to the misunderstanding of a targeted individual and inviting colleagues of hers to speak on her behalf, whose organizations benefit from being in the public eye. Lastly, other police departments have purchased these Tesla products and regretted it. Reviews from departments, including the LAPD, say that the vehicles are burdensome. They have to charge constantly when used as a patrol car. They attest that the range drops very low because of the constant draw on the battery from idling, air conditioning, heating, added computers, and the manner in which they are driven in police capacity, which is under frequent bursts of high acceleration. A vehicle that is partly charged at the beginning of a shift will not last for the duration of the shift. The LAPD also indicated that officer safety became a factor in disliking the vehicles because of the quick acceleration. The idea of fully electric municipal vehicles is great, but we need to be doing the most we can with our city resources and not jump to purchase a product that is simply not designed for police use. Chief Alberti has said during a public safety meeting on March 1st, 2022, that the vehicles cannot replace any other vehicle in the fleet.
Shelby, can you please
Yep.
wrap it up? Thank you.
Because of limitations on required safety measures like exterior light bars. There are many reasons why this appropriation is not only unreasonable at this time, but it's unacceptable. Any matter that comes before you that has not gone through a thorough and open public process should be denied. I also want to say that the Tesla police package is not new. It's existed since at least 2017. And also, maintenance records provided by the EPD contradict the maintenance statements made by the chief today. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Hi, my name is Liz Jensen. I live in Ward 3. I'm also would like to speak against the Tesla. Today, I spoke with the conservation agent, Cassie, and my counselor, Tom Peak, and they were very, very helpful in making me understand why the Tesla was chosen. It's not that I'm against an environmentally friendly city. I just want to remind you that 2 years ago, next week, George Floyd was murdered by the police. Less than 2 months ago, a man that shares our area code in Pittsfield was killed by the police during a mental health call. We know that the institution of police is racist, it's flawed, and it murders. And when I saw this item on the agenda, it looked like that this city is looking to continue to invest in such a system. An environmentally sound institution of racism is still an institution of racism. When are we finally, as a city, going to look to invest in alternatives to policing? Is it going to have to take someone dying within our zip code in order for us to do so? I don't think that these funds are needed for another police cruiser. I think they're better spent elsewhere, and I would hope that you would look towards alternatives to policing. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Julie?
Hi, Julie from Precinct 1. First, I just wanted to thank Chief Alberti, and I don't remember the environmentalist who also consulted on it, but I wanted to thank them for being so proactive. I think that our environment, we only have one. We can only go up from where we're at. If we go any deeper, our children's children are going to be in big trouble. I think that these police cruisers for the Tesla were well thought out. They're very economic. And I've talked to many other people in our community who agree with me. So when you decide on what you want to do with this, remember that this isn't about politics. This isn't about how somebody feels. This is about what's best for our community and what's best for our environment. Thank you.
Thank you. Desiree? Desiree?
Is she muted?
She's right there, right?
She's muted, it looks like.
You're muted, Desiree. Let me see what I can do for her here.
Oh, no, she's not muted. Her sound isn't working.
No, yeah. It looks like she's.
She hears us because she turned off her mic and then turned it back on again, so.
I don't have any option.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Ah, thank you. I figured out. Good old technology. I just wanted to kind of comment also regarding the environment. I see the signs kind of driving around town and at all the schools and all the public buildings and, you know, talking about idling and, you know, really looking to help the environment and, you know, cut down on our gas that we're using. So it actually is very enjoyable to see that the city is looking to, you know, expand our vehicles that we're using for the city. Obviously, the police is one of them, but also I thought there was a comment about using looking towards the vehicles that are used for the public safety as well as the mayor's office that they have for the city. It's nice to see that we're looking towards other options rather than, our gas guzzlers that we have. So that is all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none? Councilor Peak.
Actually, Chief, if you don't mind, I just have.
Question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, just as a preface to this, when I first saw this item, I had, I'll admit, a little bit of trepidation just because of the brand and the reputation of the CEO of the brand, whose behavior I find erratic and disturbing. And some concerns I had heard from self-described car guys I know about the Teslas. Now, the research that you had here, and frankly, the fact that these are the ones that are available, and I don't want to I don't want perfect to be the enemy of good in this sort of situation. So I was okay with it. The stuff that Shelby said about what happened in LA, have you heard about any of that? Is any of that familiar to you at all?
Like I said, everything that I've read in the research, Westport, NYPD, PD in Maryland, the Boulder County Sheriff's Office, and Ipswich, thank you, was all favorable.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm not looking to have perfect be the enemy of good. Let's as we proceed, let's be careful with these, because I'll be honest, I have some concerns about the brand and about the company. I like the idea of us electrifying our fleet a lot, and I have a little bit of trepidation about the company, and I just feel like I have to voice that so that if something goes horribly wrong with these things, no one's like, well, Tom, why didn't you? I know, yeah, but I hope it all goes well.
Thank you.
Councilor Denham?
Yeah, I appreciate the work that has gone into this, and no disrespect there. I understand that the research and everything. I also did just a Google search and found, I didn't write down kind of the cities, but talked about the fact that they regretted purchasing them. They found them, I mentioned this the other day, they were incredibly compact inside. And also, I think they said something along the lines, it was difficult to transport, or you couldn't transport people. And so we're using these vehicles to basically pull people over. And as someone who grew up in extreme poverty, I would find it exceedingly challenging to be pulled over in my community by a luxury vehicle. And I think that sends the wrong message to a working class community like this. I'm sorry, it just really grates on me. Additionally, we're talking about, I'll say it, Elon Musk. He also runs SpaceX, and he's interested in commercial space travel, and rocket fuel is one of the worst environmental hazards that we have right now. And I just, again, no disrespect. Like, I understand the work that you all have put into this. And I know the mayor mentioned other things kind of down the way. I think that there's better options that are coming our way, and I think that we just have to be open to that. I can't support this particular company for the things that were mentioned specifically, and I want to be environmentally conscious. I'm not going to compromise my values as a person.
Thank you. Councilor Kwasinski?
I just had a question for the chief. The vehicle, the charging stations that would be installed, they aren't isolated and specific to the Tesla, because that would I would find that very disconcerting. Should we want to pull back, or should we not have the option to choose other vehicles? They are kind of universal.
Yeah, that's correct, Council.
Thank you.
Any other counselor? Counselor Sarek?
I've actually spoken a lot. I saw Councilor Rothschild's hand go up at the same time.
Oh,
If not,
Councilor
okay.
Sarek.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I did some research as well, Chief, and I know that there's other departments, as you mentioned, that have used the Teslas for police cars. And my understanding, but I'm not, maybe you can correct me in terms of your research, was that other departments have used the Tesla S, which is more of a smaller sedan compared to the Tesla Y, which is newer in application to law enforcement uses. And I don't know if some of the concerns with size, if those are related to the S model or the Y model. Do you have any information?
I don't have an answer to that, but I know that police officers in general don't like sedans for just that very reason. And to Council's point earlier, when we went from the Crown Vics to the Ford SUV Interceptors, there was a lot of angst amongst my officers about the size. And initially, we still had both, so the larger framed officers would still drive the Crown. They had the option, but then of course we eliminated all the Crown Vics, and those same larger frame officers adapted to the Interceptor SUVs, and we had no issues whatsoever.
Councilor Rocha?
Oh, yeah, I've appreciated the conversation. I have the same concerns about Tesla as a company. I also appreciate the research and work that we're trying to move forward as a city and being more environmentally friendly. I think one of the difficult things sitting on this council and getting a lot of different budget appropriations in front of us, and it being a part-time position, not really being able to know everything all the time, it is really hard when I speak with constituents and they talk about the needs in the library and the schools, and I don't have a good answer for why we can't give more money, and then we make and not just this purchase. There's just a lot of large purchases that come before us as a council, and we rubber stamp them, and then we have a library that is not accessible to a majority of a good number of people in our community. And this is not saying how I'm gonna vote on this particular thing. It's just, I just wanna say that as like a public conundrum I have sitting on this council and feeling like I'm rubber stamping large items while we tell the library, sorry, we don't have any money. Our kids, there's not enough money for social emotional support. That's been one of the things that have really struggled sitting on this council. I just want to make that remark.
Thank you. Councilor Peak?
Okay. Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation: $89,864 to be transferred from free cash to be transferred to 0012100.5818.2022, $89,864. The amount requested will be used for the following purchase, or the following purpose. To purchase one 2022 Tesla Model Y EV Cruiser for the Traffic Bureau, $56,940. Police conversion and equipment for two Tesla Y EV Cruisers, $24,129. Installation of two police department electric vehicle charging stations, $8,795.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $89,864 for the purchase of one Tesla police cruiser, equipment, and two EV charging stations. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
No.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye. Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
All right, the next item is $148,000 for fire and ambulance expenses, personnel costs, and equipment. Do we have anyone from the fire department?
No,
Here
but
for-
we have Hadel in the call.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
we have
Chief.
the chief here.
Norris, great.
Where is he?
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I apologize in advance for my audio. I am off-site tonight. But this appropriation basically helps bring us to the end of the fiscal year for some of the contractual requirements for retirements, as well as some of the late reimbursements from the COVID accounts. So that's kind of what we're looking at as an overall view, and I'm happy to answer any more specific questions.
Any councilor have any questions? I don't see anyone. Anyone from the public have any comment or questions about this appropriation? Seeing none, Councilor Peak.
One thing I'll just say is that we had a more detailed conversation about this in finance. So if anyone's curious about these various line items and the sort of narrative behind all of them, you can go to the YouTube page that Easthampton Media maintains, and sorry, I see, and yeah,
Keep going.
and there'll be that information.
Councilor Rist.
I just want to say these kinds of, reason I have no questions is because over all of the years I've been on the council, these kinds of end-of-year appropriations come all the time. It is very difficult for our departments, fire is one of them, to get a broad sense of what they will need in their budgets. And for the mayor to fund a budget that may not need that money would not have it available for somebody else. So we always get these appropriations to fix our budgets at the end of the year to make sure we close our books balanced. So this is typical, and it will happen with maybe many of the other ones, and it happened in the past. So I don't want the public to think that we're giving money to the fire department because they've spent wrongly or some way. This is just typical. It is very hard to estimate costs when you begin a fiscal year 11 months ago. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor Sarat.
So speaking of large appropriations, so Chief, just to help clarify for the council and certainly the public, is this because, have you felt that there's been an uptick in ambulance calls that have resulted in increased costs because of the pandemic?
Yeah, so specifically for EMS, there certainly has been a rise in the calls. And also you're seeing that compounded by the fact that in terms of COVID-19 and the prices literally have quadrupled in price. I think I gave the example with the finance committee. I used a case of gloves. Back in 2019, I have written documentation that a case of gloves was $67. That same case of gloves right now is $267. So that just gives you an overview of supplies for EMS.
And I just wanted to make one more point, that I know that the council and myself being a prominent member of this, and I believe that President Gomez, you've been here this too, over the years have sort of made a point of the amount of overtime expenses that come in on free cash and sort of wanting to see something there. And when we discuss this in finance, those overtime expenses have fallen. So that's something that the council has requested, and we appear to be moving in that direction. So I was happy to see that.
And if I remember, they're requesting 148,000 because I think FEMA was supposed to reimburse some money and they didn't, and that's why the amount of 148,000, right? I think
that sounds right to me, but I'd want Chief Norris to, yeah, I do believe that some of this is money that was supposed to be
from
FEMA, and the money's tied up, but at some point we'll get it.
That's correct.
Yes, councilors, that is correct. When you look at COVID reimbursements, specifically the EMS overtime and the EMS supplies, we have that pending out there for COVID reimbursement coming back to the general fund to the city.
Thank you.
So that's good to hear.
Councilor Peak?
Okay.
Mr. President.
I just had my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
No, it's more
Councilor
just a
Rochelle.
comment. I just want to say, in terms of what I was saying earlier, I want to thank Chief Norris for doing a lot of education with the city council. So when this number came before me and the discussion we had today, I have background and context. I understand this appropriation, and that is a contrast from the experience in the past. So I just want to note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Peak?
Okay, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $148,000 to be transferred from free cash, to be transferred to EMS overtime, $22,500. Miscellaneous professional and technical services, $10,000. EMS supplies, $22,500. Overtime pay, $45,000. Permanent salaries, $9,500. Sick leave incentive, $16,500. Ambulance vehicle repairs, $7,000. Firefighting equipment, $15,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purposes: EMS overtime, coverage for ambulance recall of personnel, miscellaneous professional and technical services, third-party billing agency costs for EMS revenue collection, EMS supplies, costs for supplies on ambulances, overtime pay, costs for backfill on shifts, permanent salaries, costs for vacation buyout, retirement Greg Gagnon, sick leave incentive, costs for sick leave buyout, retirement Greg Gagnon, ambulance vehicle repairs, costs for exhaust filter on A1 that occurred on February 1st, 2022, firefighting equipment, purchase of new gear for 2 new firefighters, and change of rank for 2 others.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $148,000 for fire and ambulance expenses, personal costs, and equipment. Any further discussion? Councilor Sarrett?
Just a quick plug for the quarterly reports, Mr. President, that I think that since these have started, a lot of these expenses are being discussed, so that's it's helpful to watch those meetings or attend them. I think it makes a lot of these easier to understand.
Any other councilor? Seeing none. Barbara?
Lindsay Rothschild?
Yes.
Owen Zaret?
Yes.
Connie Denham?
Aye.
Salem Derby? Aye. Omar Gomez?
Aye.
JP Kaczynski? Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
All right, the next item up is $49,800 for Liberty Street pump station removal. So I think we have our DPW director here to discuss this one.
Good evening, everyone. Greg Nuttleman, Director of Public Works for the city. The appropriation before you for Liberty Street Pump Station is to advance that from a conceptual idea in the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan to more of an idea we can bring to life and how we move that station forward. We need to take a hard look at the building and the size that it can be going forward with the industrial use no longer in that section of town and it being mostly residential. There's some site remediation activities that need to happen and materials in the building that need to be tested to decide whether we can take it down or build a new station within the existing envelope or go to a submersible, smaller underground station. So what we're trying to do is have more and more projects that are shovel-ready as infrastructure money continues to come from state and federal government.
Any councilor have any question, comment? Councilor Peak?
It's not so much of a question, but one thing that we did discuss at the meeting was I had asked about, it seems like we spend a lot of free cash and make a lot of big appropriations towards sort of design and engineering services. So I had talked about, is it possible to bring any of this in-house? And sort of the conversation we had, Director Nuttleman, was essentially that we do to a large extent, we have engineers on staff, but there's always some specific areas of these projects where the expertise of outside experts, that it wouldn't be practical to retain them on our staff full-time if you only need their expertise once a year, that these sorts of things come up. I just thought that was valuable for the public, because it always does strike me that we just spend a ton of money on, sort of not design and engineering services. But that makes a lot of sense to me.
Thank you. Any other counselor? Anyone from the public have any question or comment about this appropriation? Seeing none, Councilor Peak.
Request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $49,800 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $49,800 to be transferred to Liberty Street pump station removal, $49,800. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. Design services are necessary to evaluate options for upgrades to the Liberty Street station. The Department of Public Works requests $49,800 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings to fund this design work.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $49,800 to fund design services for the upgrades to the Liberty Street pump station. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley. Dan
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak.
Okay, so the next item that we have up, I think these are all DPW things coming up. So you could just, all right.
The services of my department are far-reaching, and so there's a lot of things.
All right, so this one is $15,000 for tree removal. What we discussed in the hearings, there's been a number of weather events that have led to a bunch of trees that need to be removed. I don't know if there's...
One thing I think is worth mentioning is we do have a new tree warden on staff that came on with us last year, who's just doing a phenomenal job for the city. She's a resident of town. Her name's Sarah Greenleaf. And when we get a request from a resident to evaluate a tree, whether it's on, we try to only evaluate the trees on city property, but she does go out and look at pretty much every tree that gets a call and tries to point residents in the right direction. So what she's really doing is taking a hard look at trees and deciding, how we can best allocate the resources we have for the year. And we've gotten to a point this year where several trees have been identified that need to be removed as they're posing a certain level of risk for the city, and some others that can just be trimmed. So we're just trying to get a backlog of work caught up.
Any councilor have any question? Councilor Rist?
This is interesting, Greg. The tree warden can go to a home if the resident feels the tree is on city property, given the right-of-way, say, of a road.
Yeah, we go take
And
a
the
look.
tree warden can be called in to say, can you evaluate whether this tree is dangerous to my power lines or to anything? That's possible, because I've gotten a call on that.
Yeah, well, we'll go out and take a look. I mean, if it's in someone's backyard and clearly not on the public way,
Mhm.
and, Sarah's a very nice person. I'm sure she'll take a look and say, here's what you probably should
But if
do.
they're on the right-of-way, they're city property.
Yes.
So they can't, even though the branches may go over private property, it's still the tree, right?
Yes. And one important thing to mention is that not every right-of-way on every street in town is the same width.
Right.
I think Brook Street, for example, I think the right-of-way width for Brook Street, don't quote me on it, but it's like 60 feet. It's significantly wider than the pavement surface. That's one. Torrey Street's another that we have a similar problem. And there's other streets in town where the pavement is the entire width of the right-of-way. So there's really no rhyme or reason to it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other councilor? Anyone from the public have any question or comment about this appropriation? Seeing none, Councilor Peak.
All right, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation, $15,000 to be transferred from free cash, $15,000 to be transferred to tree, $15,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. This work includes the removal of 7 declining or decaying trees and the trimming of an additional 8 trees. The Department of Public Works requests $15,000 be transferred from free cash to fund the completion of this work.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $15,000 for 3 works, removal of 7 trees, trim of 8 trees. Any further discussion? I have a question. Do we know what is the balance of the free cash after these appropriations?
We asked at the meeting, but I don't have it
remember?
on hand.
All right, I will get that from Hadel later. Councilor Rist?
If Hadel's on, we are
I
allowed
think,
to ask the
I think I
question.
saw her, but I'm not sure.
We're allowed to ask.
Yeah, Hadel?
Yes.
What is the balance?
I was there. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so after all these vote, it's going to be $986,489.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Barbara?
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski, Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
All right, the next item up is $93,500 for the FY22 snow and ice deficit. Anyone who's been on the council for a while is familiar with this one, but for the benefit of the public, we basically deficit spend on this every year because we can, and because predicting what the weather is going to be in New England is hard. And
That's an understatement.
so this year it cost us $93,500, and so now we have to pay that bill. Anything else? Or?
Want to add something else?
I do think last year's appropriation, I believe, was like 94,500. It was right about the same. So
Okay.
it just kind of speaks to what you're saying.
Any councilor have any questions or comments? Seeing none, anyone from the public have any question or comment? Seeing none, Councilor Peak?
Okay, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $93,500 to be transferred from free cash, $93,500 to be transferred to snow. Snow chemical, $6,500. Salt, $87,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. The Department of Public Works has experienced a shortfall of $93,500 in the snow and ice removal budget for FY22. We are requesting the funds to be transferred from free cash to cover this deficiency.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $93,500 for the fiscal year 2022. No snow and ice deficit. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Peak?
All right, the next one is a request for $40,000 from free cash for fuel. This probably shouldn't surprise anybody if you think about what gas prices were when the city wrote this budget and what they are now. Costs a lot more. So anything else that?
Just one thing I think it's important to note is that it's not just DPW vehicles or DPW buildings that we're heating. It's the entire city fleet, police department, fire department, school department vehicles, school department buildings. The DPW just happens to manage those payment accounts and contracts. So.
Right, and it's both vehicle fuel and heating fuel for buildings.
And with one of the reasons it's a lot higher with the outdoor air exchange that's needed to happen in the schools due to COVID, the amount of energy necessary to reheat the buildings has increased.
Right.
Any councilor have any questions? No? Anyone from the public have any comment or question about these appropriations? Seeing none, Councilor Peak?
Okay, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $40,000 to be transferred from free cash, $40,000 to be transferred to fuel, $40,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. Due to the circumstances outside our control, fuel prices have increased dramatically in FY22. As such, we are requesting $40,000 to be transferred from free cash to cover the shortfall.
So good.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $40,000 to cover the fuel cost for the remainder of fiscal year 2022. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. The last one, Councilor Peak.
All right, one more. Request is hereby made for, or sorry, I need to talk about this. The next one is, it's $4,000 for trash. 2,000 of that is municipal, and 2,000 of that is school related. Director Nunnelman, do you want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, another case of it. It's not simply DPW, it's also other city departments. There was some extra pickups on the school side as they've begun cleaning out buildings for the transition to the new school. Our contract expired with the waste hauler that we have, and we have not renewed yet because we're working out the transition to the new school and what the needs will be for refuse disposal there. So we just are trying to finish out this fiscal year with what we have and get a new contract in place as we move to just the 2 buildings on the school side.
Any councilor have any question or comment? Councilor Zaret?
Just wanted to clarify for the record, Director Nunnelman, that none of these additional trash expenses are from disposing of nip bottles.
No.
Okay.
The container's fairly full. I picked up one in the park, a couple of the others in the parking lot the other day, and
Yeah, it needs to be emptied. Thank you.
Anyone from the public have any comment or question? Seeing none, Councilor Peak.
Okay, request is hereby made for approval of the following appropriation. Amount requested, $4,000 to be transferred from free cash, $4,000 to be transferred to trash, municipal, $2,000, school, $2,000. The amount requested will be used for the following purpose. We are requesting $4,000 to be transferred from free cash to cover trash removal and pickup expenses for the remainder of FY22.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation for $4,000 to cover the trash removal and pickup for the remainder of fiscal year 2022. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
JP?
JP.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. I will take a motion to close the public hearing.
So
Move that we
moved.
close the public hearings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Public hearing is officially closed. Communication from elected official boards and committees. Any councilor have anything to announce tonight?
Just really quickly, I know
Councilor
it's been a
Zaret?
long meeting. And this is only because I promised that I would, but you all received the notice about the visioning session this Saturday, May 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is for the public's, for the public, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Parkin Street Park at Parsons and Federal, Planning DPW and the consultants Fuss and O'Neill who conducted the prior walk shop in November. This is an opportunity for residents to come out and participate and weigh in on the proposed plans for the new city neighborhood. So I told the planner I would announce that. And the rain date's 5/22. That's it.
Thank you, councilor. Any other councilor?
Yeah, the 21st.
No? Mayor's communication, Madam Mayor?
You still here?
Good evening again. I have electronically sent to our city clerk as well as the president of city council my proposed budget for fiscal year 2023. The budget will be up on, the proposed budget will be on the website tomorrow. And we're also printing out hard copies that will be at the library, council on aging, the city clerk's office, and one at public safety for public review if someone wants to see a hard copy. The budget lists by section of government my proposed amounts in the very beginning of the budget book.
There's a mayor message. I'd like to read that into the public record now with just one caveat. The budget book this year is not as fancy as it has been in past years. There are a couple of reasons for that cost, but also with the past versions is online, it was the find function didn't really work well. So we've just configured that into a readable PDF so people can easily search and find any topic or word in an easier manner. That said, President Gomez, thank you for the opportunity to read my message that's in the front of this budget.
Please do.
I actually have two more comments. This budget takes into consideration, as it always does, how to best stretch local dollars. And local dollars are more and more the funding source for everything a city does, our property taxes, meals taxes, and the amount of money from the state is shrinking. The state is putting money into grants that are competitive. Some are formulaic and they're outdated. The amount of staff hours to research, to find the grants, write the grants, and then the paperwork after is substantial. But a lot of what you see in the city as way of grants is replacing state dollars, and in some cases federal dollars, that are no longer available to a city, just as a mandatory grant or a formulaic grant. So that said, dear President Gomez and City Council, in creating last year's expense budget, I funded at a needed service level budget. Unsure of the timing and the amount of COVID-19 recovery dollars, the prudent approach was to build up reserves to meet unknown fiscal challenges. Late in fiscal year 2021, the city was awarded $4.7 million from the American Rescue Plan Act. It is to be dispersed over fiscal years 22 and 23. The city finalized its ARPA spending priorities just recently and expenditure per the ARPA final rules. ARPA expenditures are driven by the allowed use of funds and publicly informed plans such as City Spirit Report, Arts Visioning, Rapid Recovery, Open Space, Housing Needs and Production Plans, and many others. The city increased contact tracing, ongoing testing, and vaccinations added by federal funding. Our public school department, state and federal awards totaled approximately $2.6 million. My proposed budget asks for a 4.63 increase in the education line item, raising per pupil expenditure for the actual students attending Easthampton Public Schools to $16,388.47. I propose $29,617,744 and 77 cents for the education budget section. That includes, this amount includes non-net spending, and it also, and it excludes the debt service on the school bonds. This increase also excludes COVID-19 related grant dollars. In the public safety section, both police and fire departments show the total annual incentive amount. Incentives are a part of their respective collective bargaining agreement for additional certifications in education. The incentives are paid out twice a year. Last fiscal year, I put 1/2 of the incentive payments into the general fund operating budget and then requested an appropriation for the second payout of incentives. The fiscal year 22 incentive amount is about the same by adding the 1/2 of last year's incentive to the appropriation amount I requested and was approved by the City Council. In fiscal year 22, I split the incentive amount to increase certified free cash, giving the city flexibility if cash flow became tight. Mountain View School is substantially completed, with full occupancy slated for September 2023. The school reuse resident workroom will soon deliver suggested proposal requests to the City Council for review and amendment. The Ferry Street public improvements, including a roundabout and multi-use path, are done, with the first building open with residential and business tenants. Blueprint Easthampton has supported 18 micro businesses into formal local businesses and joined statewide groups to support more local businesses. Planning and DPW, employing state grants, are building up climate and neighborhood resilience in New City, Pleasant Green, the Pleasant Street Mill District, and Cherry Street. The future looks bright, but today's residents and local businesses still struggle to pay bills and survive, as 2 years of setbacks pile up due to lost wages, lack of affordable childcare, food, housing, transportation, and healthcare. But candidly, Easthampton residents face the growing shortage of affordable housing and rising inflation. While the city continues to partner with regional agencies, we are looking for more ways to help families, seniors, and businesses. There is no more critical time to invest in Easthampton. Over the last year and into the next, we've increased maintenance efforts, capital spending via grants, employee retention, and hiring. The fiscal year 2023 budget reflects the values of Easthampton, with investments across departments, taking on minimal debt, and meeting our commitments to funding retirement accounts. Our bond rating maintained a rating of AA+ with a stable outlook. The city is in a good position for future bonding. New growth and near 100% collected revenues in 2022 helped us push back against inflation and close gaps left in last year's budget. My fiscal year 2023 budget letters following this document to department leaders directed them to include all anticipated compensation without any cuts, and show an expense budget of 1%, 2%, and 3%. Departments that added staff positions were to have them in fiscal year 23 if paid out of the city's general operating funds. City departments that increased staff with COVID-19 or grant dollars were asked for a plan to bring those staff into the general fund by 2026. As a result, I propose a fiscal year 2023 expenditure of $48,541,883.64. This includes the interest and debt on the school bonds and the high school bond that remains. This is an increase of 5.7% over the fiscal year 2022 approved budget. The four primary revenue sources balance proposed expenditures of $45,900,466.26, with the gap between actual expenditure being CPA, the water and sewer enterprise revenue, because those two sources of revenue are used only for very specific and only those specific reasons. The budget provides for funds for the Tax Relief Stabilization Fund and the Cannabis Stabilization Fund to reduce the taxes we must pay on our levy.
Monthly reports outlining year-to-date expenditures and revenue will continue to be augmented by reports detailing the receipt, spending, and reimbursement rate of COVID-related funds. Thank you for your patience and kindness to each other in the past year. With continued gratitude and hope, Mayor Nicole LaChapelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilor Rist?
Mr. President, I move that the mayor's budget as proposed be sent to the Finance Committee for review, as well as that public hearing be set for June 15th at 6:15 in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the proposed budget to the Finance Committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any councilor have any questions for the mayor?
I haven't seen it yet, so.
No. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Also, President Gomez, I also included an updated proposed hearing schedule that was different from the last schedule. So I would just like that to be considered for planning purposes and public attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Correspondence announcement for the President or Vice President, you have something? Now, report for of standing committees. Finance, Councilor Rist.
Just while the mayor, well, maybe she's gone, I wanted to report that we will be doing our review on the following dates, and it has changed. I believe I sent it out due to a conflict with the Education Department. May 23rd, Public Works, Enterprise, Culture, and Recreation. May 25th, Public Safety and Human Services. May 31st, no, I'm sorry, June 2nd. That's June 2nd, Education, Debt and Interest, and Unclassified and Insurances. June 6th, we'll discuss Revenue, General Government, and the CPA. And on June 8th, we'll do the final finance votes. I want to let everybody know that these will be posted and that every meeting will be in person in room 1, beginning with this Monday, February 23rd. But they will be a hybrid meeting, and I think the mayor is going to post that very statement. And as soon as I get the agenda set up with Barbara, the link to that hybrid meeting will be there so the public can interact with the, you have a question?
And all of these meetings are going to be at 5 p.m., right?
I'm sorry, yes, I was about to say
Okay.
that. 5 p.m. in room 1. All of these meetings will be in person, but hybrid for the public. Secondly, I want to thank Councilor Peak and the Finance Committee for having to deal with all of these. They are difficult but necessary, and I want to thank them for dealing with them when I was away. I want to make a reminder to the council and to the public on council authority. I believe I made this statement 2 meetings ago. The city council has no authority to increase the budget as presented by the mayor. We confirm this with the city attorney. As much as I'd like, well, actually, no, I don't want that authority because that would be difficult. We'd be debating for years. But the city council does not have the authority to increase a budget as presented by the mayor. We only have the authority to cut it. And in all my years, and I have a lot of them, we have rarely, if ever, cut a budget that was presented by the mayor, because generally the mayor is only able to present, rarely is the mayor able to present all of what a department wants. So cutting it further would be difficult. But that's the only authority we have. And I want the public to know that because there seems to be a question as to whether we can raise it. We can't. So I wanted to make that reminder. So our next meeting is the first budget hearing, February? May 23rd. Why did I write February? Jet lag, I'm sorry. So thank you very much, Mr. President. That concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Rest. Public Safety, Councilor Sarek.
I'm just looking at the expiration dates. Those all seem to be in order. I don't have anything new to report following our last meeting. We have not met. Again, to remind the council, our next meeting is June 7th in room 1 at 6 p.m. That will be quarterly report for fire department. We'll be talking about the ordinance review committee report and maybe discussing the electric speed monitoring signs, depending how some discussions go with potential vendors and other stakeholders. And thus concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Sarek. Appointments, Councilor Rothschild.
Thank you, President Gomez. We met last Wednesday, and we had 5 appointments before us. One of them is Jessica Hebert. She's here with us today. She's our new city treasurer. She comes to us from the city of Chicopee. Although she lives here in Easthampton, she's, I think, always lived here in Easthampton. Yep. She was the assistant city treasurer in Chicopee since 2008, and she also in the past worked in Hadley. She has a degree in financial management from Franklin Pierce, and we voted 2-0 to recommend her appointment. So I'd like to welcome, well, we didn't vote yet, but still, she's already working, so we better. Anyway, so I'd like to, does anyone have any questions? Did I ask that, or?
You make the motion.
Make a motion. I'm going to make a motion to confirm the appointment of Jessica Hebert to the position of city treasurer with a term expiration May 1st, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the mayoral appointment of Jessica Hebert for the city treasurer. Any further discussion? Councilor Rist?
Just a comment, welcome, and I look forward as Chair of Finance to working with you.
Any other councilor? Seeing none, Barbara?
J.P. Kaczynski,
Yes.
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Yes.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Yes.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omer Gomez.
Aye, motion passes. Councilor Rothschild?
Okay, so we had 2 appointments before us for the Conservation Commission. One was Sarah Carr. She is studying, I think, she's currently doing a second bachelor's in environmental science at Westfield, and she has a lot of experience in conservation easements. She's really interested in learning more about conservation, and that's why she's interested in participating. She moved here 4 years ago and, wants to get involved in the city. The other person up for the Conservation Commission is Hale Weeks, who moved here, I think, in the pandemic from New Hampshire. He chose Easthampton because it's a cool city. And he has a lifelong experience in fishery and wildlife, and he's retired, and he's going to take all that experience and knowledge and contribute it to the city on the Conservation Commission. So I'm going to, these are 2 different expirations, but I'm going to put them together. Making a motion, we voted 2-0 to confirm both of these 2, to recommend them. So it's Sarah Carr, making a motion to confirm Sarah Carr to the Conservation Commission with a term expiration December 31st, 2023, and Hal Weeks to the Conservation Commission with a term expiration December 31st, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for, to approve 2 appointments from the mayor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Tom Peak,
Aye.
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Connie Denham,
Aye.
Salem Derby,
Aye.
Omer Gomez, J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rothschild?
Okay, the other 2 appointments before us were Tony Manca for the Veterans Council. He came to the meeting, and he has a lot of enthusiasm. He's an Army vet. He works at the state. He does work at the state level with the veteran-owned. Oh wait, he's working on a lot of different. He's very active in a lot of different things, and one is the Air Force First Look, which is expanding procurement, local procurement for within the military. He's also working on the state level on veteran matters. He's on the Urban Committee, Western Mass Economic Council. He has a veteran-owned business, and he's like, when can I go start coming to all the meetings? Like, not just Veterans Council, every meeting. So anyways, he brings his enthusiasm and insight to the Veterans Council. We didn't get to meet Bonnie McLeod, but she is a new resident in Easthampton. She lives across the street from Mashawanik Pond and Cottage Square. She wants to give back. She stares out at the pond and wants to be involved. So we voted 2-0 to confirm both of these appointments. So I would like to make a motion to confirm Sarah Carr to the, Tony Manca to the Veterans Council with a term expiration December 31st, 2024, and Bonnie McLeod to the Neshawanik Pond Committee with a term expiration December 31st, 2022.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Brad Riley,
Aye.
Dan Rist,
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild,
Aye.
Owen Zaret,
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rothschild, we have another.
We have
you have a
another,
meeting?
yes, we have a meeting scheduled for May 25th at 4 p.m. Our meetings are always on the off Wednesdays from the city council meeting at 4 p.m.
Is it 5 p.m.?
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Yep. And thus concludes.
And that meeting is gonna be,
It's going to be here at City Hall, and I can't, the room, conference room 1, yep.
thank you.
Be done by 5.
So don't worry, we want to.
Ordinance, Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. The ordinance committee met on May 9th, and we were able to get through a couple of items on our agenda. One of those being the ordinance review committee's final report. We were able to get a finalized list to the city clerk about changes that we're looking to do. We're currently in a holding pattern to see how we're going to advertise those, and so I'm not going to set a public hearing for those yet, but they're the simple changes. We also have a list of changes that are going to require things to be brought back into the agenda, and so we're going to create a plan for a timeline for that. The other thing that we were able to look at was the amending Chapter 6, 6-22, which I think was 2.3, maybe? 2.3. Which is deceptive advertising practices of limited pregnancy centers or crisis pregnancy centers. And we were able to take a vote 3-0 to recommend that to the full council. So at this time, what I'd like to do is I'd like to set a public hearing for that for June 1st at 6:15 in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set up a public hearing for our next meeting at 6:15. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. And you'll notice the other item on our agenda, which is the vacant storefront ordinance. We're still, the reason I haven't scheduled a next meeting, still have a few moving pieces between counselor schedules and trying to get the building commissioner and the EDIC on board. So I have not been able to nail that down. So stay tuned for a meeting to strictly discuss that piece. So, and this concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Derby. We don't have anything in property. We don't have anything in rules. Councilor Rist?
I do want to set a meeting, if that's okay.
Yes. Councilor Rist?
Counselor Kwasinski and Counselor Denham, I want to do a meeting. So is Counselor Denham. We have a lot of finance meetings, so I would like to do the resolution that will be presented at the end of the meeting at 5 o'clock on June 1st, which is a council meeting downstairs, and then we come up for this meeting. Is that possible with you two counselors? So it'd be right before the meeting. Huh?
That could be the same night as BPW. You might need to go downstairs.
I have to be able to do hybrid with Counselor Krasinski.
Can we figure out all this after
First
the
and
meeting?
third Wednesday is BPW at 5.
I don't know when to do it, that's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
so let's figure it out after the meeting.
All right, and I just wanted to report that the charter amendments, which we did 2 years ago, are moving along in the Senate now, and we may actually see them by the end of the summer. 3 years after. Thank you, Mr. President.
No business, Councilor Derby?
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one mayoral appointment, Robert Wild to the Commission on Disability, expiration date 12/31/2022, in the form of a motion to move that to the appointment subcommittee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move this appointment to the appointment committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes. Council Derby?
And the next piece we have is a resolution in support of the Fair Share Amendment, and I know that we are going to move that to the Rules Subcommittee
Is that a motion?
in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the resolution in support of the Fair Share Amendment to the Rules Committee. Any further discussion?
Mr. President.
Councilor Sara?
Just, I don't remember who was here earlier, but what appears in the agenda is an earlier draft. I apologize to my co-sponsor, Councilor Denham, that through the miracle or the lack of miracle of computers, the final draft didn't make it in, so I'll send that to the city clerk for everyone to see.
Thank you.
That's it, yeah.
Barbara?
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Motion passes. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Barbara?
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, everybody. Buenas
Thank you.
noches. Have a great evening. See ya.
Have a good evening.
So,